Good Sunday afternoon. Hello, and welcome to the Power of Words author panel with the Arts Exchange. Thank you for joining us or for listening in. This is our final installment in our series of workshops with the power of word when poetry meets freedom, songs, and images, exploring writing, culture, and literacy of the movement for civil rights using the artwork of Dr. Doris Derby. Support for this project is provided by the Georgia Humanities in partnership with the Georgia Department of Economic Development through funding from the Georgia Assembly. Additional funding for the Arts Exchange is provided by a grant from the Community Foundation for Greater Atlanta through the Metropolitan Atlanta Arts Fund and from Fulton County Arts and Culture under the direction of the Fulton County Board of Commissioners. And I want to thank you all so much for joining us. So some of you may know, but for the last 2 months, I have been conducting my Saturday writing workshops and my Wednesday writing workshops with the Arts Exchange, dedicated to exploring the work of Dr. Doris Derby from her book, A Civil Rights Journey, which is a photograph, a book of black and white photographic images, and her other work that is pending, poetry, poems, and protests, which will be coming out soon. I'm fairly certain. But while we've had these 4 workshops, we've written some amazing things, and this is an opportunity for some of the participants to share with you what they've written. The one thing that we are extremely proud of here at the Arts Exchange and the literary department, or literary my job, what I'm proud of, is that we have been able to create a pretty international community as far as folks who come through to write, to share on that odd Saturday or Wednesday night. And I invite you all to check out artsexchange.org for all of our programming. We do have workshops coming in the future. We also have an open mic, and we have several other things that are happening at the Arts Exchange. As our gallery is now open, you can come in and see some amazing art. But right now, we're going to get into some of the poetry that was created out of these workshops. So first, I want to start off by introducing the folks who are joining us today. We have Diane Ward coming from New York, I do believe. We have Jill, who is here in Georgia. LaDonna, I forget where you're from. Are you in Georgia?
I am in Georgia.
Yay!
Coming
Georgia.
from Locust Grove.
Okay, yes, Georgia in the house representing. So we are going to share with you some of the work that we created using Dr. Derby's images, and we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. How about that? Does that work for everybody? Yes, yay! So I'm going to kick us off, and 3 of us have a poem with the same image, and so you are going to hear 3 poems and this lovely image that we're using. And I'm going to get started. So the picture is 3 civil rights workers at a party hanging out at the farm. Okay. I imagine the dress is blue, a nice calm in the storm that was Mississippi in '69. A restful congregation with friends in a beautiful blue dress, bag to match. I imagine it is summer, the blazing sun as hot as the times, voting rights burned on the highway, buses full of freedom riders. I imagine she is a freedom fighter. I imagine last week she feared for her life as she registered voices to be heard, her body bravado as head held high. She never let the fear of what could happen quiver her lips or clip her voice. As she explained the importance of this act, it has to be powerful if they are willing to kill us rather than hand us a ballot. But on this day, she is wearing her blue skies or calm dress with friends as tired as she has become. I hope she is not disappointed today. How backwards the laws are going now, how all that fight for voters' right is being wig snatched right back to 1969. I imagine the sky blue dress with the polka dots, the one that showed her legs, or the one that showed her legs, the one with sleeves, the one with the sleeves that when she waved, they waved back. This is the first time I'm talking to people today. It's kind of crazy. My mouth is trying to figure out how to work around all these beautiful words that Dr. Derby's artwork conjured up. So thank you all for listening to that. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or that you want to talk about in the chat, please do so. And right now, we're going to hear Diane's poem from that same image. Yay! Go, Diane.
All right. Thank you. This is my first draft. I'm going out and need to make sure I have my emergency funds available when I'm ready to leave this rally to the next one later tonight. I'm listening to their commentation, to their conversation, but I'm beyond this argument. Our next steps. Where are we going from here? Who has new ideas, strategies? I need fresh air, fresh perspectives. Next rally, new spots, new neighborhoods, different outlooks. All comes down to strategies, more than one, my people. And we will always look good as we fight. In case the newspapers and photographers arrive, my voice will be supported by the clear spoken lipstick, neatly, attractively dressed sister, moi, ready to be interviewed on the spot with my ideas, my take, my vision, my hopes, my misgivings, and mostly my solutions, because I'm ready. I'm presentable for TV. I'm poised for radio. I'm non-threatening appearing. You don't know me yet. End piece.
I'm unmuted now. Yay! Thank you so much for sharing, Diane. And now we're going to hear from Madonna with the same image.
Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Soundtracks and the tangy bite of barbecue, a bit of respite in the storm, young love and old friends. Best in show and new duds soaking up the summer sun, deep breath and stolen kisses in summer. In summer, Mama Nem, the heartbeat of our community with platters of collard greens, catfish, cornbread, and pot liquor, and maybe after dinner, a snack of buttermilk and a little more of that savory cornbread in summer. In summer, it's the wholehearted, full-belly laughter that resonates, splashing in the creek, meeting with cousins, the beauty of simplicity in life in summer.
Woo! Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. No, I think that image, that image, I think I'm gonna go and revisit that image because like one of the things I think that really interested me about that image, when most people know they're being photographed, they kind of look towards the camera, but in that particular image, like everybody is looking somewhere else. So I have so many questions. So I feel like there's so many opportunities to create work from that particular image. And those of you who are listening in, we are working with images from Dr. Doris Derby's Civil Rights Journey. Her book just was released earlier this year, and we are responding to the images. So if you want to play along at home, feel free. Okay? You should do that. And now we're going to hear a poem from Jill from a completely different image. Jill, are you ready? Thank you so much again for joining us.
Yeah, I'm ready. And because I can't hear y'all very well, I'm not sure if we're talking about the poems a little bit.
Not yet. We're gonna talk about that process after we share.
Okay.
Okay.
So, did you pull up the image?
It's coming up.
There it
you go.
is. The one thing I wanted to say about this is that a part of the prompt Theresa gave us was to speak as a part of the image, a person or a thing within the image itself. So I really liked that prompt a lot. This is called Union Church, after a 1969 photo of Dr. Doris Derby by Dr. Doris Derby. I stood with and around her shelter of cool, dark interior where friends meet to study and talk. I was another world, sheltered from the white, softly yellowed, dusted, and only slightly broken, requiring attention to enter, to leave. To stay in easy shade was my gift, to gather, to plan, and in some distant future to paint and repair the old made useful as it is. Union was our word, Baptist Church theirs. We took their words, recrafted them, and sent them back, the power of reverse. We were one unity, one building, one woman standing in a doorway. We'd been waiting for a long time to be in this picture, to watch a dark girl making us into art. We'd been waiting a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that was nice. Yeah, I think the thing that I love the most about the Aphraxis process is that it allows us to kind of explore every part of an image. And I think it's very cool when two different forms of art can be in concert or in conversation with each other. And LaDonna has a poem from that same image of the Union Church. So we're going to hear LaDonna's poem with that same image.
That old rickety church at the end of Bethel, Grandma pats her hands and the mothers gather together. The mourner's bench, we raise our hands, waiting for salvation. In prayer, we love, we praise the Lord, the ladies shouting in the street. They're met by the Holy Ghost, deacons offering right hands of fellowship. This is summer worship. This is worship. The humming and the singing and the hymns, the lined and metered songs the deacons share. This is what I remember from that old rickety church at the end of Bethel.
Woo! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my God, that was beautiful. Thank you, thank you. I love the singing because I am not singing poet. Should never happen. Bad idea. Don't ask me to do it. But thank you so much for sharing, Don. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And now Diane is going to share her poem from this image that is also painting. So Dr. Derby not only takes photographs, she writes poetry, and she paints. And so for the painting prompts, we had the painting. We also had the title of a freedom song. And we also had a short poem that Dr. Derby wrote about that image. So what we did was, what the prompt was, where you were going to write the poem from all the things that are in that space. So the image, the words, the poem, the title of the song could be the title of the poem, but to try to incorporate all those parts in there. And then what we did was, for one set of images, we wrote a bop. And then for a second set of images, we wrote a golden shovel. So a bop is a form of poetry that's fairly new, where you talk about a problem in the first stanza, reiterate the problem in the second stanza, and then solve the problem, or tell why the problem can't be solved in the third stanza with a repeating refrain that goes in between each stanza. So that was the bop. And then the golden shovel was taking those words that were on the attached to the image and making them the final line of the poem created from being informed by the image. I know it sounds very complicated, but it was very fun. And it was like we got to like do some mental exercising there. It was great. So Diane is going to share her piece with us, and thank you so much.
All right, so the title is Certainly, Lord, you see side by side our outstretched hands. I live and breathe, I work and toil, yet most remains out of your laws. You cannot deny me my right to vote, though you've tried with whip, dogs, and old white men's hopes. So I continue to protest, organize, and strategize. Certainly, Lord, you see side by side our outstretched hands. I work well with neighbors. I raise fine, strong, healthy sons and daughters. We strive for the good of all peoples, and yet we are the enemy. We pay taxes, survive racist wages, and still you wonder why I keep my smiling gaze. I see beyond to a greater dawn. My heaven is assured despite you. So I continue to protest, organize, and strategize in plain sight every day. And you're scared of me. I'm not afraid of you. Certainly, Lord, you see side by side our outstretched hands. I will continue to grow bold and use your lies against you. Keep my mind and my heart on what I know is true. There is no reward until this fight for our votes, long overdue, is secured legislatively and fully constitutionally in tune. We'll continue to vote in our Congress and Senate for true fighters, our strongest defenders. Our voting cause is no light venture. Our futures need secured without live debt or credit. Our honest actions need no penance. Certainly, Lord, you see side by side our outstretched hands. Thank you.
Nice. Woo. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Diane. And actually, my poem is from that same image. But of course, all the poems are different because we don't share each other's brains. We just share each other's space in a nice way, and create together. So I'm going to use that same image, and here we go. The way I heard, solidarity is a dirty word, heard by a government desperately breaking the people from the people. They say January 6th would have happened regardless of the clear winner. Do you want freedom? Certainly, Lord. The way I saw it, lies didn't sway to the storming, just pushed it all in our faces. Only in America can telling a white man no erupt in violence. And of course, the only right answer is to pry the ballots right out of our hands and hearts of a people who are also American. Do you want freedom? Certainly, Lord. The way I heard it, lies to look oppressed is the newest fashion these days. Asked to speak to the manager these days, stole over 800,000 voices, buried them in the lies, and cover up what's been broken for so long. Our young will need to reach up and resurrect the truth. If in the name of humanity, please do it for us all. Do you want freedom? Yes, Lord. So it's a little rough, but I think that part of this process is just kind of creating things that we can work on later, if not in the moment. Thank you all so much for listening to that. So I want to ask questions now. I think, did anybody else have another poem they wanted to share? No? Cool. let's talk about the process. And I know Jill is struggling hearing us, but I want to know what was something that you enjoyed about the process of writing to Dr. Derby's work, and what did you expect and what did you receive? Diane, can we start with you?
Okay, I enjoyed the challenge. I was not familiar with her work, quite frankly, and so it it was fascinating. I enjoyed the challenge, like when you gave us the bop exercise, and when you that's something I wouldn't normally do. It's not a form that I would really use. So now it's part of my repertoire. Now it's something I know I can utilize and go back and look at. Because like you said, when you do effective work, it's always something you leave it alone. It's just like when you draft a piece. You work on it, leave it alone, go to it. You're looking at it with new eyes, so to speak. And so the fact that you're able to build on it is wonderful. It's not fleeting. You can go back and look at it and say, wow, that's so obvious. How did I miss that? Or maybe I wasn't the mood I was in. I didn't that didn't resonate with me at the moment. But now I've changed. Now I've seen it, and therefore I can get into more detail, perhaps. And so I thought that made it really interesting, very good. And I think that's part of a good artistic process for me, anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. I compare writing to baking a lot, and when I have to set a poem to the side, I'm like, okay, it's got to prove. I learned that word over the pandemic when I binge watched baking shows for 3 months. We're gonna let that poem prove for a minute. It's gonna rise, and then I'm gonna go back to it, and then I'm gonna make some yummy bread of words and feed them to the people. Now I just came up with that. That was kind of brilliant. Okay.
Write it down. Make that prompt. Make it a prompt if you have to.
Hey, that's what we got to do. Jill, how was your process with this? Was there something that you enjoyed more than others, and what did you expect and what did you receive?
Well, I always expect to write when I go to your workshops, and I always do. Once in a while, I get a poem that I really like. This one you really liked, and it made me take a second look at it. I don't like form. I don't like being restricted by form. But when we did the bop, I did that, and it just made me laugh to be able to do it. It was really fun to write that poem. Though it's not a poem that I feel real terrific about, still I accomplished the prompt, and that was lovely. I do have a couple of questions that I'm curious if anybody knows how to deal with. First of all, is that thing of voice. I'm curious if you should just leave that out entirely of a reading and let your audience get what they get, or if you should say, or maybe even make the title Union Church Speaks or something to give your audience a clue about who the narrator of the poem is being. And the other thing that I have a question about is how exactly to give Dr. Derby credit. I mean, I put after 1969 photo by Dr. Doris Derby, but I suppose that's adequate, but I don't know, should I have put the actual title of the photograph, or I'm just curious what other people think about that, how y'all dealt with it.
So what I normally do is I would definitely give after Dr. Doris Derby's photograph and the name of it, but you can do that in two ways. You can make that part of the title, or you can make that kind of the epigraph that happens before the poem happens. So the title, whatever title you came up for the poem, and then underneath it, kind of italicized after Dr. Derby's painting or photograph, and then the name of the actual photograph, and then the poem. And as for a reading, it gets really interesting. So I think you have two avenues you can go, right? I feel like listening to that poem, if I'm really listening, I know you're talking as the church because I can hear that in there. So I think when it comes to titles, and I learned this yesterday when I did my first in-person reading as part of a conference kind of thing, is you have to be able to read your room and read your audience. So I think that once you you do that I think whenever I start a set, I do that one poem that I think is going to kind of go over with everybody, right? And then you can kind of gauge reaction, who chuckles at that one line that you thought was particularly funny, who you can kind of read the room a little bit based on that first couple of poems. And then whether or not you need to inform your audience of what this poem is about. Because there were a couple of times when I know I'm talking about political instances that happened 11 years ago, because this poem is 11 years old, but it also sounds like I could have wrote it today. So I want you to, so that in that case, I'm going to inform the audience. This poem was written this many years ago about this subject that is still happening right now, and then I beg the question, why is this still relevant? Hoping that jars something in them so that they engage more with the poem. So I think there's a couple of different ways to do that. But cool. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jill. LaDonna, what did you receive? What did you expect? Is there something I could have done better?
Okay, so I absolutely loved this workshop because I remember the first one was the church, I believe, and like personifying some aspect of this church. And sometimes, you just forget. You get so locked into the way that you write, the way that you voice things. So to be challenged to step outside of your own, style.
Your comfort zone.
Yes, the comfort zone is really nice, and it's a really nice shocker because, you forget, oh wait, there are other ways to write and other ways to think about this. There are other ways to bring this story to life, and especially when we talk about personifying inanimate things, they do have life. They have life because we give them life.
Exactly.
They have life because they have meaning to us, and that they hold memory and they tell their own stories of where they've been through. And so I love that, and I've loved this process. So the only thing that you can make better is making them longer. Like
that is something that I have heard. So I know when we go back to in person, I've been, like, I did a workshop yesterday that I've been, me as a person who provides workshops, I'll get these crazy ideas and I'm like, okay, how can this crazy poem work? And I kind of like play with it and mess with it. And so I've been messing with this poetry prompt for about 5-6 years now, right? Because I've done it twice, just like the way that when I first wrote it, I did it and I was like, oh, wow, this is great. And it was published. So I was like, oh, snap. I just did a thing that I created and it was published. And then I'm trying to figure out ways that I can make it more accessible. Because I find, and some of you may have noticed this about me, it's like or you may have the same thing. Like, I know what I want to say, but when I'm saying it, it doesn't sound like I'm saying what I'm supposed to be saying, but I know that that's what I wanted to say, but I didn't say it. You know what I'm saying?
Do we?
So yeah.
So then the question is, do you know what you're saying?
I know, right? So like it's about trying to get that, because we try to get that workshop to the point where it's so understood that it doesn't confuse your participants. And so even after the 5-6 years I've been messing with this poem, a woman yesterday who has never taken a writing workshop made one comment, and I was like, snap, now I know what I haven't been doing. So I got one more tweak to do. But when I do this workshop, it's literally going to be a 2.5-hour workshop. And so now I struggle with, will people sit and hang out with me for 2.5 hours to write a poem? Probably. So you would? Okay, LaDonna, you got my back. I know. Yay. But yeah, so I'm trying to come up with a series, because I have 6 really strong prompts that I have produced really nice poetry for me. And I just want to kind of package it into, like, here's a series of workshop where we're going to do these kind of things. And they're not very formy, but they have a process, if that makes sense. And sometimes processy can sound formy, but to me, they're totally different things. But I want to thank you all, and I want to thank Dr. Derby for putting out such amazing work. And I want to thank the Georgia Humanities for entrusting the Arts Exchange and myself to deliver a canon of workshops in praise of Dr. Derby, especially during Black History Month. And now we're about to roll into Women's History Month. What? It's all kinds of amazing over at the Arts Exchange. So I want to thank you all for participating, and thank you all for giving us some time this Saturday afternoon. Your poetry is beautiful. If anybody else wants to share any final remarks, this will be that time.
I would like to say thank you so much for saying yes. Whenever you said that yes to doing the work that you were doing, and also Dr. Darby, when y'all said yes, because you don't realize your yes and what your yes means to other people. And while you're sitting there saying, like, I just need to tweak this one thing, like, still in the untweaked, the raw, the the unorganized, whatever, however you felt like you felt, that you still meant something to someone, and that we still get something out of it. And so I thank you for that, and I thank you for this opportunity to be able to share our work and to hear my peers' work and your work, and in these virtual spaces that we can all just come together from all pieces and parts of our world, to just come together and to be in this space and doing the things that we love and that speak to us most. So.
Thank you. Any other
And
party?
I said thank you to every one of you that shared too, for saying yes, because you didn't have to, but you did, and your work like blessed us. So.
Yes, I appreciate the yeses. Anybody? Diane, Jill?
Yes, this Sunday afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. This Sunday afternoon, and you think it's Saturday, but it's Sunday, Theresa. It's Sunday. It's okay.
I've been struggling with
Saturday somewhere, maybe.
I was like, she's on Saturday. Oh, okay.
This Sunday afternoon. Okay. Oh my God.
That's okay.
I mean,
but
I cannot be the only one in these pandemic times who wake up and go, "Oh my God, is it Friday? What day is it?" I do that almost every day. Yes,
whatever
it is Sunday.
I'm
sorry.
Right.
It's okay.
Whatever day it is, it's wonderful that you're there, because as I echo what LaDonna says, I can't really add much to what she said, except to say that I do appreciate this space. I would not know any of you otherwise, if unfortunately out of this pandemic, it's because we now Zoom each other, but that's okay. I now know LaDonna and Jill, I know from Sunday nights, and I know you from Sunday nights now. So, you're part of my poetic, artistic family, which is wonderful. I mean, you got to look at the positives of this. Being able to interact with other poets, I always find stimulating. I like the fact that in the confusion, it's okay, because the confusion has some order in it. Whether you see it or not, Theresa, that's okay. Most of us as instructors, we don't really see the chaos. It's a good thing, and because we're so structured in what we have to deliver something to our students or our participants or whatever. And I think you're kind of hard on yourself in that respect, but don't be, because I'm just saying, because I think that people get out of it what they want. This is active. You have to bring to it some of the energy, so do your participants.
Yeah.
And I think that that's on them, not you. You're not responsible for that. They are. So I go back over my notes, because I've always been a nerd, and I look back, and I'm proud nerd, and I go back and I look at my stuff, and I say, what else can I do? Or how can I do? Like I did a braided poem with somebody else, but I started incorporating it with some bop, and I just, I don't know what what is it that people say, when they can't, a writer's block is, there's too much exciting and informative and wonderful that's going on. And so thank you for keeping my creative juices juicy, because I find always something new from your workshops and from listening to Jill and LaDonna. I'm going to go away with something else I could have done or might want to add to what I already did. So to me, that's a plus plus. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for saying that. And you're right. I am too hard on myself. You're not the first person to tell me that. But I'm getting better at it. That's what we do. We grow. Jill, do you have any parting words for us?
Well, it's really a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all and be doing this. And I'm sorry that I'm so technically not adept, that I was not well prepared for it. This is my first time on this particular platform. But I really enjoyed hearing the poems, what I did get to hear of them. And I enjoyed performing with you all. And Theresa, I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. Thank you for all you do. I don't know how you manage so much. It keeps me really busy, and I don't follow half of what you do. So I really don't know how you manage it, but it's really important to the community, I think. And I consider myself a part of your community, and I feel really privileged to feel that way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yes, we are a community, and you are very much a big part of our community. But I want to thank you all for hanging out with me on this Sunday. Got it right that time. Probably because somebody reminded me it was Sunday a few minutes ago. This Sunday afternoon. Thank you from the Arts Exchange. And the participants in our workshop will be receiving our multiple workshops. You have to been to more than one. We'll be receiving a copy of Dr. Derby's book, and I look forward to sending a copy of that book to all of you. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your beautiful words and some space and time with the Arts Exchange. And hopefully I will see you next Saturday. Well, the second Saturday of March, which is when we have our second Saturday writing workshop. And because it's Women's History Month, we are going to be in conversation with work from Natasha Trethewey. I have 2 workshops for you. I'm excited. So thank you all so much for being here. We hope to see you back at the workshops. Please check out artsexchange.org if you are listening to find out when our virtual programmings are offered, so that you may sign up and hang out with us and have all kinds of fun that you didn't know you were going to have, possibly. But thank you again. I want everybody to have a great rest of their day. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, LaDonna. Thank you, our tech person at the Arts Exchange. And I will see you all next time. You have been to the Power of Words author panel. When poetry meets freedom songs and images, exploring writing, culture, and literacy in the movement for civil rights with Dr. Doris Derby's work. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.